Live from Studio G and fighting for you for the foxhole of freedom. Here we go into another brand new arm lighting the fuse. We're going to blow the lid right off of this one. Remember, the Steve Gruber Show can often result in extended periods of American pride and optimism and uncontrollable enthusiasm for the future of this country. Live in all 50 states and around the world. It is a dirty job, but Mike Rowe's not here, so who's going to do it? I am. Three big things you need to know. Number one, the investigation into that horrible Black Hawk collision with a commercial jet in Washington a few weeks ago has revealed the pilot was at fault, ignored multiple warnings from her co-pilot before the crash. Number two, President Trump set to celebrate his milestone first 100 days in office with a stop in Michigan. I'll be right here for you, covering it for Real America's Voice and MTN. And number three, let's talk about this. The media has failed us. The media has failed us. The fourth estate. The mainstream media has failed us too many times, remember, over the past decade. It began in the 1970s when the media surged left and celebrated the eviction of Richard Nixon from the White House. And in retrospect, the whole thing looks pretty damn dubious to me. In fact, you have to wonder today, did Nixon, the most popular president up to that time in American history, did he get framed and destroyed? That's a good question. More of that for a later day. But let's start with this. The absolutely false Russia collusion story, or the false story about what President Trump said in Charlottesville, Virginia, or the repeated lies about him with classified documents. It goes on and on. The media has become so dishonest, the Washington Post and the New York Times won't even return the Pulitzer Prizes they won on false pretenses for the Russian story. That, as we all know now, was every bit of it, all fiction, bought and paid for by Hillary Rodham Clinton. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it came when reporters regurgitated the lies pushed out by their Democrat friends about the health and well-being of Joe Biden. First in 2020 and then for 4 years in a row. The stories of Joe being bewildered and wandering around the White House, naked and incoherent, were not just whispers. It was common knowledge for people inside the White House. And someday soon, I guarantee you this, some staffer that was there is going to write a book about the whole thing. And once again, the light will come pouring in. That person will get discredited by MSNBC and CNN and all the left-wing media, but it's going to come out. And over the weekend, at least one guy working on the left side of the media began to tell the truth. It was a good start. He began to tell the truth. At the White House Correspondents' Dinner, we got this from Alex Thompson, one of the principal writers at Axios, the far-left political website. He stepped to the podium to accept an award and then said this. Here it is.
And the White House Correspondents Association is as necessary as ever. President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
Tepid applause at best.
I say this because acknowledging errors builds trust, and being defensive about them further erodes it. We should have done better.
Yeah, you should have done a lot better, and that was a good start to admitting how dishonest the media has been. The White House Correspondents Association, wildly dishonest about the state of Joe Biden. It was common knowledge, people. Him wandering off and taking naps, babbling incoherently, wandering off from the Secret Service and wandering around the lawn of the White House. Hell, a lot of it's on tape. A lot of it's on tape. Yeah. So here's more. Secretary of State Marco Rubio pointing out again how dishonest the media is every single day, calling them out just yesterday. Listen to this.
On the headline, that's a misleading headline. Okay, 3 U.S. citizens, ages 4, 7, and 2, were not deported. Their mothers, who are legally in this country, were deported. The children went with their mothers. If those children are U.S. citizens, They can come back into the United States if there's their father or someone here who wants to assume them. But ultimately, who was deported was their mothers who were here illegally. The children just went with their mothers. But it wasn't like, you guys make it sound like ICE agents kicked down the door and grabbed the 2-year-old and threw him on an airplane. That's misleading.
Yeah.
That's just not true.
Just to be clear, because I do want to get to the overhaul at the State Department, is it the U.S. policy to deport children, even U.S. citizens, with their families, and I hear what you're saying, without due process? Just to be very clear there.
Well, no. Again, if someone's in this country unlawfully, illegally, that person gets deported. If that person is with a 2-year-old child or has a 2-year-old child and says, I want to take my child with me, well, then you have two choices. You can say, yes, of course you can take your child, whether they're a citizen or not, because it's your child. Or you can say, yes, you can go, but your child must stay behind. And then your headlines would read, U.S. holding hostage 2-year-old, 4-year-old, 7-year-old while mother deported.
He's exactly right. Dishonest headlines. Admitting that you lied about the Joe Biden situation is just a small step. The media's out there with polls today saying Donald Trump is only getting a 41% approval rating. Wrong, false, lies. False polling to try to guide public opinion. We'll see how it worked in Canada as they go to the polls, I think, today. Meanwhile, Bill Maher smashing the left on ivermectin. Calling them out on what they said about that. Here's another lie exposed. Listen.
The fact that it was demonized by the left is one of the things that I would say I could come up with a larger list of things that, when people are like, oh, why aren't you just all on our team? It's like, because your team does some stuff too. Not nearly as much as the right, but you do some stuff too. And pretending that ivermectin was somehow evil. It wasn't evil. It won the Nobel Prize in 2015. They say it's cured probably more people, except penicillin. Okay, was it crazy to think it could work on COVID? And look, the truth is probably in the middle somewhere, which is that for some people, yes, it probably has properties that mix, because again, we're all individuals. This one-size-fits-all medical treatment bugs me. So, could it work for? Yeah, I've certainly heard from people anecdotally.
They call it in Africa. They call it Sunday morning medicine, because everybody on Sunday would pop it again.
Yeah, that's right. And just if you haven't heard this, I took ivermectin. I had COVID just after Christmas, 2021. Sick as a dog I was. Argued with my doctor to get the prescription. She relented. I got the prescription. Within a few hours, I've gone from being very, very ill to being almost not ill at all. I rebounded quickly. Ivermectin, say what you want. I know what I believe. It helped me. All right, still to come today. Canada's election is today. Today could be the end of it for Canada. Because if they elect Mark Carney, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba say they'll be out, and they can do that. They'll say they will leave Canada and ask to join the United States. I say yes if that happens, by the way. We'll be right back.